75th Assemblyperson-elect Stephen Smith of Shell Lake, and 73rd Assemblyperson Nick Milroy of South Range, both Democrats, talked about the recent election and working with Republican majorities in Madison come January 1st, 2013, the next session of the legislature.
In post-mortem, we haven't done all our debriefing, but it hit me, we knocked on over 13,000 doors, and I think that was an equalizer. Never expected national attention to a legislative race in Wisconsin, but it happened, and I'm glad it's behind us.
The Republicans have control of the Assembly and the Senate, and you got a Republican governor. We're kind of back to 2011. Do you think it's going to be different this time around, or what are your thoughts on it?
I do. I mean, we had tremendous victories in Wisconsin for the Democratic Party, and I think talking to my Republican colleagues, they know that they don't want to go into the session and have as much turmoil as they did last session. So I think they're going to be looking at working more together and listening more to the people with the agenda that they're going to follow through with.
And people are already talking about mining legislation and going through that again. Do you think it will be different this time around?
I'm hoping that it's different. Last session, they pushed a bill that was written by the company, and it had very little review or input from the people who are going to be most affected. So I'm hoping that this session, when they move forward with any mining legislation, that they take into account the people who are going to be most affected.
Any thoughts on that?
All the stakeholders should be involved in drafting the legislation to find a new law that everyone can live with, that provides jobs that people can live from, and protects the environment at the same time. I know that prevention beats cure. Doing it right the first time is the best way to do it, and when everybody works together, I think that can be accomplished.
So what's on the agenda for the Democrats, and how do you operate as a minority party in that setting? Now, you've had 2 years of it. You've been in the majority, you've been in the minority. Any new strategies or this time around, or?
Well, I think the strategy is the same. That's to try to work with the Republicans when we can, and when they're not willing to work with us, so we do a good job of letting the public know what our differences are and why we're opposed to what they're trying to accomplish. Any
particular pieces of legislation the Democrats would like to see this time around, or you would like to see, or you would initiate this time around, or?
I'm going to be working on a lot of the same legislation that I've been working on, some of the animal abuse laws that I was working with, some veterans bills. I have a whole list of legislation that I'd like to see get passed, but being in the minority, it's very difficult to pass legislation. I'm going to be working with Republicans to try to get them to agree to co-sponsor my bills, and hopefully some of them will have a chance of passing.
Do you think we're going to see any change in the school funding? I mean, that was a big issue the last time around. That was a big issue in your race.
It is a big issue with me, and hopefully we can. I still believe that every child in the state of Wisconsin should be worth the same dollar amount, and that we've modernized the system for the users. It's time to modernize the system for the payers.